Right, guys, back again. Becoming very regular. This much better though. Nice little short videos. This one might not be quite short. We've got commercial champs yesterday to talk about. Really, in all honesty, it's a really interesting match. Um, I think there's quite a bit to learn from it. I can go a bit more in depth now. I'm not doing every trying to cover lots of different matches all in one go. So here goes. I, if you've watched my video yesterday, I did a little video in the van. I didn't do any of the actual peg and everything, but we were at Meadowlands yesterday. As I said, went into it. I really needed a win, yes, section win yesterday. Um, all the talk was, as always, at Meadowlands, even like more so this year. The fish, as you'll know, at a lot of venues, the fish have just been shoaled up a little bit more than normal. Um, the early pegs, 1, 2, 4, they were gonna be the pegs to draw. You remember I went there for a golden reel a couple of weeks ago, drew peg 22, which was in the deeps, as I said. Only caught 2 carp down the edge late on, and then some skimmers. My section was one at peg 26, I think, and that was 60, 65 pounds, 6 carp down the edge. To prove, sort of show how hard it'd been. There'd been a match on there the day before. The early numbers had won, and it hadn't fished great. And I've drawn peg 26, so 4 to the right of where I was, where the section was won last time. I was the first one of my section. Meadowlands is a really well. Lambsdown is. Warren was in as well, but I haven't drawn on there. Never drawn on there yet. And that fished really hard, so I'm glad I didn't. Yeah, it's a really big lake, really big open water lake. All different sort of depths. Where I was on 22, you'd got at 14 meters. It's nearly 20 foot deep. It's like full top four. Really is deep there. Um, and it comes up. It's a bit narrow and it widens out. Like one is right down the bottom. They're brilliant pegs. And the wind was going in there. So always expected them to be the ones. And it comes up, and 27 next to me is like the point, and then it comes back behind you into another narrower bit, which isn't generally as good. I was on 26. Wayne Sharman, that runs the league, was on 27. 28 was in, then it was 30, and then MPEG 32, which looks awesome. It's like the end, it's got a huge bay to fish around. Not particularly, it's not as awesome as it looks unless the wind's blowing in there and the fish are there. The lakes are full of carp, some big carp as well.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Sorry, Alexa, talking to me for a minute, um, as they do. Um, and then there's loads of bream and silvers. It's absolutely full of them. So it's a lot of hard pellet fishing, in all honesty, just so you don't get bitted out. Now I did take a load of meat with me, and that's how they catch the skimmers and everything on there, like 8 mil meat, to try and catch the bigger ones and the bream. Avoid all the little fish. And I set a rig up for it, like 414, a carbon float, 020, 016 bottom, and a 12 MXC2. Still decent gear. If you look at carp, they fight really hard in there. I wanted to get it out. And that was on 12 to 14 slick in a match kit. I didn't even put my meat on my tray because I felt like on this point is a half decent. It can be a half decent area for carp, even though it's not had as much form recently. So I didn't want to do it unless it was really hard. Then I'd get some meat and hemp out. Plumb that up on a top 6. Rig wise, after that, it was all going to be hard pellets. Apart from the edge, I suppose when I was on there the other week, I fished hard pellets in the edge. I did catch a couple. But I spoke to a few people and they said micros and corn had been the way recently. So bait wise, I've got a load of I had three. It's fishery pellets. I had 3 bags of 8 mils, 2 bags of 6 mils, 2 bags of micros, and 4 tins of corn. Um, and that was it. It's the most simple bait tray in the world, in all honesty. Um, and I've set up a rig for. Well, it's exactly the same rigs as float fish, in all honesty. Uh, it plumbed up lovely. I could throw pellets onto a top six quite easily. It wasn't. It was quite calm. There was a little ripple going down to my right, but nothing too much. But it does soon get up. So, and the bottom's a bit all over the place, and it's sloping away. So it was big rigs to hold it in place. Set up exactly the same as they were still on the top kit. I've just shortened them down because I didn't catch a lot on the deck rigs, so they were fine. Just put new hook lengths on them. A 418 like a wire Rube Titan for a top six with 18 to 20 slick, 020 straight through. There was a hook length, but that was 020 as well, and a 14 MXC4, just a bulk and 2 droppers. And then I set up the rig for a top five. Just came back again. If it was really good, it put me in 4 foot of water. Exactly the same setup, just a 416 float and the slightly heavier elastic. Again, the 2022, just in case it was really good. If I was catching there, it was going to be really good and be fishing for a weight. Again, the same edge rig. The platform 25 wasn't in, so I've gone down the platform. They're going about 18 inches there. Just an edge pig, 023, 020, 20 to 22 slick. Big hook fishing double corn down there. And 2 slapping rigs. Well, 1 slapping rig, a 0.1 carp slap, like the 16, 18 slick. A 14 MXC4 because I was going to slap an 8mm pellet. It wasn't for feeding particularly. I was going to start at 14.5 and go up to 16 if needed. I was that's how I thought I was going to start the match. Just slapping an 8mm pellet a foot deep because there were quite a few carp moving around all around the lake. There were a lot of fish moving around. And I did set up the 2 foot deep one as well, just in case. I didn't think I was going to use it, in all honesty. Then I've set up a waggler rod with. I started with a four swan waggler, and after a few when I went on it, after a few chucks, that was a bit too heavy. So a dumpier 3 swan one was better. When a little ripple come on it, I have had to put the 4 back on. Like I say, it's a little bit swapping and keeping that tight line, but you when you're chucking it, you really want it whooshing. Like you've got to force it so it all lands nice and straight instead of plopping it in. And the 3 was perfect for that. And then I've set up a 10 foot commercial feeder, like Horizon Pro, for bomb fishing. Didn't bother with the method, just a bomb. 10 pound on straight through, 20 gram in like you allowed elastic, so an elasticated stem. And I used the 030 hook length, which, like I said to you before, I've been playing around with. I've not done a lot of bomb fishing this year because it's just not been right for it this year. It's not gone. I don't know why. 10 MXC4, and I was going to fish double 8mm drilled catalyst on the hook. And that was my approach. I was going to start short. Wanted to start on the top six with pellets to just see if I could catch a carp quick before they moved out. But there were quite a few moving around. So I've actually started slapping. Wayne next to me, let's say we were on 2 good section pegs, in all honesty. And Wayne is the match organizer, and he fishes meadowlands a lot. And he's very good at that style of fishing. So I could use him as a little bit of a guide. He's actually started on the waggler. I've gone slapping, and I've had 3. I've done it for 25 minutes or so, half hour maybe, because there were signs of carp there, and I've had a few swirl on it, and I kept thinking it's going to go, but it didn't. I've had 2 bites on it, and both have been big. Well, they're almost bream, 3 pounders bream. Um, and Wayne hasn't caught on the waggler, and then he's gone on the bomb, foul up one straight away. Then he's caught one, but it's only about £4, so my bream was still had. So I just kept slapping, and then he's caught another one, and I thought I've soon got to go on it, but I gave it 10 more minutes. But that last 10 minutes, I've started throwing a few 6mm pellets on the pole line, and I thought I'll just have a quick look on it before I go out on the bomb, before I even start feeding the bomb. And I've gone on it, and I've literally lowered it in, and it's gone straight away with an 8mm on the hook, and had a £4 carp. Wasn't quite expecting that, but it was great. It's nice to get a carp in the net. And then I've got a couple of pound skimmers. Again, it was putting 7 in the net, so I wasn't bothered. And then no bites, but I thought there was a carp there, and then a couple of little bubbles come up. So I've not gone off it. I've given it another 5 minutes, and then it's gone. And I've had one about £9, like decent fish. They fight like stink in there as well. Straight after that, next 2 puts in, I've had 2 more 4 pounders. Then I've waited 5 minutes, had another 4 pounder, and then after that, it's been a few silly bites from little fish. I've caught a roach about a pound. I've had a couple of bites where I've struck, and there's been a bow wave just where it's a liner, and I thought, nah, this is gone, and I started to just not get any signs. So I knew it was time for the bomb, but I hadn't fed it, so I didn't just want to chuck a bomb out and feed a couple of pouches. I thought I'd build it up. I've started chucking the waggler, build it up. Just give it 20 minutes because you always casting and feeding, so it would get a little column of bait on the bottom, something to start with on the bomb. At about 25 metres, I fished it. Not really far, nice comfortable distance, 22-25 metres. And just before I was going to go on the bomb, I started to actually get an odd sign, and there was an odd swirl in it. And then I've caught one about £6-7, and then I've had one straight away next chuck, and I thought, oh, this will be all right. And Wayne was looking around; he'd got 4 or 5 on the bomb. They were all quite small fish he'd caught, like 3 and 4 pounders. And then it all went funny again. I've had 2 more where it's pulled the rod, like what you want. The float lands, and as you feed in, the line goes off and you hook it. But both have come off, both failed hooked, and I thought this isn't right. So I've gone on the bomb, and I expected it to go straight away. Just doing like I've shown you before in the videos, feeding a couple of pouches, then casting into it. So you're right on the bait. I had a little marker. There was a sign on the far bank, so I knew I'd got my distance right. I was going just into where it changed from white to dark water, so I was feeding accurately anyway. But it didn't go round till the 3rd chuck, and it come off, and Wayne had lost 3 or 4 as well. They weren't having it very right, but I just persevered with it. I didn't want him to pull away from me. There wasn't a lot being caught on the lake from what we could see. And I did start to catch another one. We were sort of fish for fish. It wasn't manic by any means. But we both lost a few as well. Like I say, they weren't really having it. But Wayne just kept persevering with it. And instead of that, I'd then pick up the waggler, have a few chucks on the waggler, get a bit more feed in. And whenever I did that, I didn't catch on the waggler, but when I've dropped back on the bomb, I would generally catch a couple really quickly. And I thought they want a bit more feed. So I've changed it around a bit. I've started doing the double pouch, like 2 full double pouches on the bomb, chucking it over it, and instead of reeling it in like after 5 minutes and feeding it again, I'd leave it in 10 minutes, but I'd feed every couple of minutes, put a lot of bait in all of a sudden, and it did get better. It got a lot better, and they were bigger fish. I started to get them. They averaged in like £6-7. And it just got better and better. And at one spell, I changed to speed things up because it was so good. I was actually casting out and then feeding, and by the time I'd fed the 2 pouches, it was round like within a minute. It was really, really good. really enjoyable because bomb fishing when they're on it is brilliant, and it was. You were feeding a couple, and they, whereas before when we were losing a few, there were these funny drop backs, and they were messing around. They were all dragging your rod, and it was brilliant. Um, and yeah, I've had a golden hour on it, and I knew I was miles away, and we couldn't. They weren't catching next. The other two next to him, the M peg wasn't catching either apparently. So I knew I was winning the section by quite a way. Um, and at this point, and because I'd got a bit of a lead, and I could start attacking a little bit. We'd got sort of 2.5 hours to go here. We were halfway into the match. I've really started attacking the short line for later on, like two lots of 36 mil pellets, like every time I chuck the bomb out quite regularly, really trying to drag some fish in for later because Wayne had, we were talking all day, we were very close to each other, the pegs, um, and he said it will all be about the last 2 hours, that's where the section will be won and lost. So I really attacked it, but I didn't think I'd need to go on it, the bomb was so good. And then I've had two where it's dragged the rod in, um, and they've both come off soon after I've hooked them, one after the other. And in all honesty, then I sat there and I couldn't get a bite. And Wayne's coming on the pole and caught a couple with like an hour and a half to go. And I've come in on it again with an 8 mil on the hook, just feeding the 6 mils. And I've hooked two straight away. The first one I've played for a bit, and then it's tore off and busted my hook length. I think it just rubbed in my net. It was only 20 hook length. It didn't tear off that much. And then I foul up my next put, and then I wasted too long really. I sat there another 10 minutes and didn't catch one. So I was still feeding the bomb, chucked the bomb out, had one small like 4 pounder straight away, but then again no bites. So I kept out oofing the 6 mils in, but when I went to go on it this time, I've just changed to double feeding like 4 8 mils. So not a lot of bait, just making a bit more noise with them, but not a lot of actual bait there. So it was a bit easier to single one out and get a proper bite. And I've gone back on it. I did. This is with hour and a half to go, or an hour to go, and I fed the edge at the same time. I've put 3 big cups of micros down there and a big cup of corn, and they did come in on it, but every time I dropped down there, they sort of spooked off. It wasn't right. If I could go back, I would definitely have done how I was going to do it. I had a big cup, put a full big cup of 6 mils down there, and then kindered and fished a hard 8 mil, banded 8 mil down there. I would have caught 2 or 3 because they're really big fish as well. Should have done that in hindsight, but yeah, going back to the short line, went back on it, and I've caught one a bung for 40 minutes. It was taking a while to get something in. I did start to pull harder and harder, as you do. Once you start catching, your confidence gets up, and yeah, it's been really good. Just feeding them few, and I got as soon as I hooked one, I double feed a few 8 mils, and then once I'd unhooked it before I went out, I'd do it again. So there was no feed going in, and generally I'd get a bite quite quickly within 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes I'd miss a bite, but I didn't feed again. I just dropped it back down. I thought it'd still be waiting there for you. If I waited longer than 5 minutes, I would just lift the rig out, feed, and then drop it back in it. And it was really good till 20 minutes to go. And Wayne's hooked a great big one on the bomb, foul hooked. It's run all through my peg 2 or 3 times. It's been by my nets and all over my pole line. Couldn't help it. It was one of those things. I've had it myself in a match. There's just nothing you can do about it. I lifted my rig out for a bit. When I've gone back in, I've foul hooked the next two. Then it's just something really spooky. And I've only had one more the last 20 minutes. I had one with about 5 minutes to go. And come the way in, I've had a fantastic day again, in all honesty. I've had £230. I had £11 of skimmers from that early spell. And then I had 221 pound of carp, but I had a pound knocked off because I went a pound over in one of my nets, £60 net limit, and I had 61 in one of them. And I thought that might be enough to win the match because all reports it fished quite hard until we heard from down the first 3 pegs as expected. Peg 2 won the match with £275. James Folks, one of my good mates. Well done to him. Peg 4 was second with 260. Grant Merritt again, well done. And then Peg 1 was third with 244. But they paid the top 4, so I was fourth in the match. Won the section very convincingly in the end. Wayne's had £120 next to me. Then there's been £250, and then Paul on the end has had 155. Not caught a lot till the last 2 hours, and he's caught down the edge in that lovely bay on hard pellets. Again, I should have done that, but it's been one of them days. Everything's gone well. Won the section by £80 frame, so it's good money. It was a good pickup for fourth still, and I got that all important win. So I go into the last round knowing I can a win now at Barston in 3 weeks' time. I would definitely get in the top 8, I'm sure. But it's easier said than done with the talent of anglers that's in this competition. But yeah, really good day. Thought I'd done it just about right. If I could go back now, I would have just started short because there were obviously a few 2-catch short early on. I wasted 10 minutes once I'd lost them 2. I should have just gone straight on the bomb again. Would have given me perhaps another 1 there because I could have come back on it a bit sooner again. And I should have caught a couple down the edge perhaps, where if I'd have just fed the big pot where that had died the last 20 minutes with that fish, I could have dropped in the edge, caught 1 or 2 there. So, and the size of them, that would have potentially been enough to win the match, but can't think like that. That's how I've won the section by £80, so I really can't moan. The section next to me, the next section, the guy on next to me on 24 won the section £105. So I've had more than either side of me put together, so I really can't complain. Fantastic days fishing. It's just I'm just fishing how I knew I always could. I just had a terrible run at the start of the year. Confidence is high. Things are going well. This weekend, I'm coaching on Sunday. I've got a ticket for the Maver at Hallcroft, but as with so many qualifiers, well, the last 2 or 3 for me anyway, work has got in the way because I've got to work Thursday and Friday night. I'm stopping away Thursday night, or Friday day should I say, in Swindon. I won't be back till about the time I've got to leave to go to Hallcroft, and it's just not, to me, the qualifier's a long day because you don't actually start fishing till 11, even though you've got to be there for early to draw. Potentially not going to be back on the road till 6 o'clock, 2-hour drive. It's just not worth potentially falling asleep and killing yourself for a qualifier, so I shall be selling the ticket. It's just a shame how the last couple are gone with that. It's obviously not meant to be. It's just one of them things. It's yeah, just not meant to be. I'll put my ticket up for sale tonight. I won't not just turn up. I will make sure I'll try and get the space taken. Yeah, just a bit of a nightmare with work. That's just how it's fallen the last few weeks, that every time I've got a qualifier, I've all of a sudden had to work on a Friday night when I've been on days all the time. Yeah, it is just one of them. On the subject of qualifiers, in all honesty, not going to do as many next year. I think there's a lot of anglers that are the same. It's you've always needed to draw a peg, but this year I've noticed it more than ever, and there's a lot of people said the same. You're not even getting a day's fishing anymore. You can call at the draw who's going to frame already. The standard of anglers, no one makes, like, you need a good peg. It's expensive. It just took the enjoyment out of it a little bit, and that, I think that was the problem. We come back from lockdown, hadn't fished for ages, went straight into all the qualifiers, drew a few bad pegs, and it just takes the enjoyment out. And you get in your head, you're not going to draw very well, and when you're like that, you don't. I just want to work in the week. I want to enjoy my fishing. Not saying I'm not going to do any, but it will just be the ones when I fancy it. Uh, Again, it's been the problem in years gone by. They've not all sold out, and you just book a ticket. Oh, I fancy that this weekend. This year, because no one had been fishing, they all sold out in minutes because everyone had saved a few quid and they wanted to do as much fishing as they could. I'd rather save my holiday for in the week ones doing a few festivals. It's more on being consistent, which is what I enjoy. And the fishing is generally better because there's not so many crammed in. And it's the same with like Hawcroft this week. I could book Friday night off as a day's holiday. There wouldn't be an issue with that, and that was what I was going to do. But I'd rather just save my holiday and carry it over into my holiday. Doesn't finish till June. It's June to June. It's another day I can use earlier in the year for like the Westwood Festival or something like that. So yeah, I'm just going to put my ticket up for sale. It is a shame. I would like to get in another final again, but it's just not meant to be. So that's where we're at with the fishing this week. Loads of fishing next week though. Rookery Festival on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there'll be loads to report on that. I haven't actually been over there for a while. I'm sure it hasn't changed that much looking at it. I'd love to win it again. It's been a good festival for me. Won it when well, not the last one, the one before it. I won it. I might have had a gap in years because of COVID. I can't remember. And then was second last year. So yeah, love to win it again. Some quality anglers in it though, so it's not all gonna be easy. Yeah, and that's the fishing. So I'll have that to report on for you. If you've got anything you do want covering any videos, just let me know. And until next time, thank you all for watching. Cheers.